Hello everybody and welcome back to the Chicken Chat every other Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Here we discuss all sorts of things including chickens, concepts of chickens, and so many other amazing concepts that you don't want to miss out on. On your way in, please consider liking and subscribing to help support me and enjoy the live stream. Yo, welcome into the chat everybody. What's going on everyone? Yep, we are live and hopefully we'll keep it like that. My goal is to, actually be able to go live more consistently. What's going on, Boojay Prepper? Before we get in, I just want to briefly announce that I'm right now working on my garden tour video. There was a pretty unfortunate error I made while I was exporting it that caused it to get all corrupted and stuff. Like, you know how these editing softwares and stuff like that work. But it's about 4-ish minutes long, and it is the first garden tour of the season. It is not to be confused with the Planter HGC, just to let you guys know what's going on. Old Man King Homestead, another great supporter of mine. All the moderators that come into the chat are great supporters of mine, so shout out to all you guys that come into the chat regularly, say what's going on, even if you don't directly comment. Support is support, man. You know how it is in these YouTube streets. It is definitely... These YouTube streets are really difficult to maneuver, but if you find a way through, it's really easy to be able to grow and connect with all these different channels around the area. So right now, 2 people in the chat right now. The reason why it says 3 people is because I currently have a tab open myself, which is why, if you guys are wondering, and if you're wondering, this was supposed to happen 2 weeks ago. This week was supposed to be Chicken Chat 6. Where my plan was to talk about miscellaneous chicken stuff. That's literally what I wrote down. But if you don't know, 2 weeks ago, we had a pretty significant storm over here, and it knocked out the power for a few hours, so that sucked. This weekend, we actually had a pretty significant storm. I don't know if you guys had that. We got some ice, and then it turned to heavy rain, and we got 3 inches of rain. What's going on, Salty Grace? What's going on, Homesteader Rachel? Yo, what's going on, everyone? So that's what's happened this weekend. We just got a ton of rain, and it was a disaster. There's flash flooding. I would have loved some snow, but at the same time, man, the snow they got up in Vermont and New Hampshire was a disaster. I wouldn't take any of it. Although they are saying that on Friday that we might be getting some snow, so no thank you. So tonight we're going to be talking about chickens, of course, like always. And we're going to be talking about choosing that right chicken breed. So, a lot of you guys are wondering, it's this time of year. Everyone's usually going out to the store now until about May-ish. And they're checking the store, check and see which type of chickens they have. So, I'm going to show you how... I'm going to show you my method here on how to select chickens. You don't miss the New York snow. Yeah, New York's been pretty lackluster recently. New York got a couple snowstorms this year. New York City itself has gotten 2 snowstorms in the last year. And all of them have been very disappointing. But they got 7 inches of snow last month, so that's fine for them. So yeah, if you guys are wondering, I do have a method for choosing chickens. And it is very simple. The method I do for chickens, I know we just got into the chat and we're already talking about it. But there is a really simple method that goes into choosing that right chicken breed, and I'm going to share it with you gradually throughout the stream because it's something that takes a little bit to discuss. My guess is this is going to be a shorter stream, 25 to 50 minutes. I can maybe get up to an hour if I really try, but to be honest, there's not a whole lot to cover with choosing the right chicken breed. So, if you are wondering, yes, the first thing you need to look at here is just taking... So you got struck down in southern New England. Was totally bummed to not hit the trails in Vermont. Tons of snow. Yeah, there's been a ton of snow out there in Vermont. I would love to go up there right now, but at this point the snow is just becoming cement, so it's nothing good anymore. If I were to be... So the first thing you need to do when you're getting chickens is you need to take a look at... The first thing you need to take a look at here is what is your level? What is your understanding with chickens? If you don't know anything about chickens, you're just hopping into this blindly, what I'd recommend you do is you go and look up some videos online about some chickens, because trust me, looking at these chickens will definitely look at these chicken videos, all these different chicken videos that are put out there specifically to help you. They're really useful. No, what did I click, bro? What did I just click? Wow. This always happens to me on chat. Always these most embarrassing fails that suck the most. But if I'm gonna be real, just look up some videos. It really does go a long way. People will be like, "Oh, I don't need to watch all these videos to understand all this about chickens." Actually, you should. Unless you already knew a lot about chickens, like you happen to be a chicken expert before you hop into chickens, I would definitely recommend you looking up some videos, looking up on Google. I definitely recommend watching a video because, like, literally, because it actually helps a whole lot because there's people talking directly to you about these different chickens and stuff like that. So that's what I usually do when I'm looking at a new chicken breed. Which this year, I do want to get some new chicken breeds, but I don't know where to start. So, to be honest, my guess is going to be my guess is, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm going to do for for this year's chicken season. My guess is just a few more, but like you also need to look at your different intentions with your chickens. Many people have different set intentions for their chickens. Like for us, our intention is to create an environment for the chickens to live in that's calm, peaceful, not disruptive, while they also lay us plenty of eggs daily. That right there is an environment. Another thing you need to look at is your environment. You need to do all this research. This is where the reviewing every chicken breed comes into place. Although I was only able to review the main 40, I will say it is definitely a useful look at all this sort of stuff to check and make sure that, like, it would definitely say it's really useful to look into all this stuff just to check and make sure that you have, that you have the general understanding and knowledge about these chickens and stuff like that. So, like, before you hop into, as I was saying recently, just before you hop into chickens, always take a look at the breed, look them up, do some background. Definitely look at a review of the chicken breed. Definitely look at those reviews. They will help you out a whole lot in determining whether your chicken breed is good or it is not. Because sometimes what will happen is you'll get someone will tell you this chicken breed is the greatest chicken breed, but when you actually go out and buy that chicken breed, it is the biggest disaster, the biggest travesty that's ever happened in your entire life. What's going on? Henry Leslie Vermont. I do not know how I managed to mess it up that badly. Monday nights, yeah, they're one of the worst nights of the week, besides from Sunday nights and Tuesday mornings. That's the worst time of the week. But yeah, as I was saying, wow, I lost my track there. But look into all the sort of different stuff when you're about to go buy a chicken. It's really useful. That's what I would usually do before I buy a chicken. In the future, I'm gonna have my goal for the future is to be able to somehow manage to buy myself some land, not in Northwest Connecticut, man. When back in 2018, they were decently priced. Now they're not. They're horribly priced. So you'll have houses in the beautiful farmland that'll be just costing you your entire life savings on they'll just be costing you your life savings and your left leg to be able to actually buy a house anywhere in Connecticut now, let alone some farmland. Some farmland will run you over $2 million. So if I manage to do that, I'm definitely going to look into getting more chicken breeds, and I'm going to apply all these different strategies. Another thing is looking at as I was saying earlier, look at your level of knowledge about chickens. If you know very little, it is very important that you go out and do a little bit of research. Even if it's just a little bit, you should definitely be just taking a look at the research, as it will but just taking a look at the research to make sure that you know what you're gonna do. But just taking a look at the research to make sure you know what to expect from your chicken. If somebody's talking about how that chicken is the worst chicken that's ever been known to mankind, and the other person says it's the greatest chicken, I'd recommend looking at review sites. I'm probably going to start up my goal is to learn a bit of coding, a little bit of C++, not C++, whatever HTML. Learn a little bit of HTML. Set up a website where you can review chicken breeds online for others to see. Oh, the weather thing is not working? Oh, wow. Nightbot is not awake yet. I don't think... Here, I'll try typing it in for you really quickly while I talk about the next thing. So, yeah, take a look at your... So, taking a look at your level of knowledge and, like, forms, all that sort of stuff. So I definitely recommend looking at all that sort of stuff. Wow, I'm rambling. Really rambling, yo. But just take a look at this sort of stuff. If I say sort of stuff one more time, I swear I'm going to be so mad, bro. But you get what I'm trying to say. It's really useful to look at all these different things because people give you all their perspectives. One thing to look when you're looking at these chickens, big 3 things that you want to do. Number 1, is X chicken breed friendly? Number 2, is X chicken breed worth it? And number 3, is X chicken breed anything of your choice? It could be how many eggs they lay, what do they like, what do all they do, whatever. So 37 degrees and clear. Oh, I guess Nightbot did not wake up. You know, it wakes up randomly. Like sometimes someone could just like, put 3 emojis in the chat and the Nightbot will randomly wake up and block someone. It's stupid. But yeah, that's how it works. Nightbot randomly decides when it wants to wake up or not. I'll try to wake it up while I talk about like more of these chicken breeds. So today we're going to use an example for this. We're going to use barred rocks. So we're going to look at barred rocks because they're my personal favorites. They are black and white stripes, if you're wondering. They live about 6 to 10 years. So as I was saying, are barred rock chickens friendly? So generally happy to be handled and willing to tolerate the affection of young egg collectors. The barred rock will earn its keep as an egg producer, but its disposition and personality will make it a family-friendly choice for backyard poultry. So, yes, barred rocks are very friendly. If you didn't already know that, that should be pretty obvious. So, as I was saying, are barred rocks worth it? Let's look this up. So, like, barred rock chickens are a great choice for first-timers and long-time chicken enthusiasts. So, yeah. So that third one, we're just going to do how much are they? That's another thing you should look up. How much do barred rock chickens cost? So that is $4.94 for 1 to 14. That's per chicken. $4.46 per chicken if you're getting 50 to 99 of them. Yes, that's a unit of measurement they use for chickens. I'm not joking. They do use those types of units of measurements when you're buying chickens. That's how it works. So that's what you get. You could get straight run chickens, which, I mean, if you're really running low on that money and you're not really getting all that cash, then maybe I'd recommend getting some straight runs because you know what they are, right? Let me explain it to you briefly in as simple terms as possible. Basically, a straight run is literally you just go to the store, you ask them for all the chickens in the brooder, and without thinking, they don't know what gender the chicken is, so they just put it into a box and give it to you. They hatch them out and they just give it to you. So it's basically they're hatching out chickens. They don't understand what the chicken is just yet, so they just box up the chicken and give it to you. And those are usually the cheapest ones, but always remember, the cheapest ones can be really deceiving. Just because you get a good value price out of it doesn't mean that it's going to be the greatest. And also another thing to understand is roosters are almost always cheaper. Like a chicken breed costs $65, but their rooster counterparts will be like $25 because a lot of the times, I'd say it's like 60-40. 60% of the time, you get a hen, and 40% of the time, you get a rooster. Now, if you're going to get something like a meat chicken that you're not going to have for too long, like we just got 15 meat chickens the other day. If you're going to get one of those chickens, you're not going to have them for too long, then you can get straight run. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter in the end. They're not going to live long enough for them to be able to develop a crow. And then choosing that right chicken breed could also depend on where, like, you set all these different goals and boundaries for your chickens. So where are you setting, like what do you want to achieve from this chicken? Do you want to achieve a high number of eggs? Do you want to achieve a good number of eggs? Do you want to achieve a good number of, oh my God, bro. I'm so sorry. There's a ton of background noise. I don't know how many of you guys can actually hear it. I'm sorry, man. If it comes up one more time, I'm going to, like, mute for a little while, but that's it, man. That's it. Hopefully that's it for the stream. But I mean, hopefully no more noise comes into the background for the stream. So yeah, always keep that in mind. You need to look at what you want from the chicken. What is like that top thing, that number one thing you want from the chicken? So like, you could also like create little sketches of like this. Like you put like the chicken breed in the center, and you look at all those different things like an art project. I don't know. I'm just thinking on the spot. Like you just like draw lines connecting to what you want out of the chicken. So for me, if I were to choose that barred rock, I want eggs, friendliness, and also a long lifespan. Do I get those three things? You want to check off at least 2 of the 3 boxes. Yes, you do check off all those 3 boxes. That chicken is good to go. Now make it to the second phase. That chicken was just... how much does the chicken cost? Does the chicken cost like $80,000, or does it cost a good price that you can get at a decent value, regardless of if you're not making... regardless of if you're making $100 a year or $100,000 a year. Yes, that chicken does make it past that. How many could you get for a good price? Let's just say there's a hatchery selling them for $3, and you want to get 6 of them. So simple math says 3 times 6, which is 18. The fact that I had to use a calculator for that is crazy because I'm thinking on the spot here. Yeah, you heard the sound, but it's not too bad yet. Just what I expected. I didn't expect it to be too loud because my microphone only picks up on things that are in like a 5-foot radius. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is about it. So nothing too crazy, hopefully. If it comes up one more time, then I'll have to mute. So yeah, which chicken has the tastiest eggs? I don't really think it matters for the chicken breed. It really, all that matters for having a good egg usually is just like, usually it's not the chicken breed itself, it's the chicken's environment, as I talked about. If you want a good number of eggs, you need the chicken breed, which will lay the specific number of eggs. They're bred for that, and the environment. Because you could get a chicken that lays 300 eggs a year, put them in a bad environment, and they'll end up laying 150 because of that environment. So it depends on the environment as well. You'll notice that the eggs that you get from the store have a lot brighter yellow color than the ones you'll buy from a farm stand. They'll be less rich because they don't have the nutrients that chickens that are raised on farms get. I've had Rhode Island Reds in the past, and they do really well here in the cold. Yeah, the cold up here in the Northeast, my chickens handle it fairly well. I'd say when we had that cold blast back in February 2023, that was a long time ago, man. Saying 2023 feels... Saying that was over a year old is crazy. But we got down to minus 19 degrees that night, and it was chilly. I think anyone would agree with that statement. Unless you're from like Canada or something like that, then maybe not. But minus 19 is like one of our coldest we've gotten here in years. So the chickens, their coop was really well like ventilated and stuff like that. So they were able to maintain heat. They didn't mind it. A couple chickens got frostbite, but most of my chickens endured it. So looking at how cold hardy that chicken breed is another big thing. Because if that chicken is not cold hardy, then guess what's going to happen? That chicken might not be able to brave through the winters up here in the Northeast or the Northwest even, Great Plains or wherever. They won't be able to brave through those winters. And if you have a chicken that's specifically meant for cold environments and not for hot environments, will they be able to brave through the heat of summer? Like when it gets up to 110 degrees. I think most chickens can brave through summer fairly well. They don't really care, to be honest. I've never had any issues with chickens dropping dead in the summer because of that. I've had issues, especially during the only known deaths I have during the summer are from egg yolk peritonitis, which has absolutely nothing to do with like the actual summertime heat. It's just something the chicken can't really control. It's a disease that develops after a couple of years of egg laying, but you can get them pretty early on, unfortunately. So choosing that right breed also comes down to looking at their lifespan. I was talking about that a little bit earlier. You want a chicken that has a good lifespan. If you buy a production layer, so like a chicken that's specifically bred, so that way it will lay as many eggs as humanly possible. I'd say if your chicken lays over 300 eggs a year, there's a good chance it was bred specifically for production laying. Those chickens will live usually no more than 3 to 5 years because that chicken was specifically bred for that. After a while, it'll begin having issues with the egg system. And eventually, it will fail and collapse and stuff like that, and you'll have some pretty nasty things spawn in that I'm not going to talk about, because this stream is not all about that nasty stuff. It's all about that good stuff, you know? So, yeah, but if you get more of like a pet breed, like the Barred Rocks, as I was talking about, and the Buff Orpingtons, I love talking about my Buff Orpingtons, you know. I should actually put a Buff Orpington in my channel banner because I love talking about them so much. But Buff Orpingtons are another one. Easter eggers, which are basically Americanas, except they're like crossbred with a different breed. So like you don't really know what's actually gonna come out. You just like mix two roosters. You just mix a hen and a rooster, and one of them's an Americana, and you get whatever you get. And for the most part, they're generally a nice like white with black speckles. Those are my favorites. The completely white ones, you have the completely black Easter eggers. They look pretty nice, and they're all the same price too, which is crazy. And most of those chickens will live a lot longer than 3 to 5 years. You'll generally get 5 to 8 years is what I'll say for most chickens. If you get lucky, 8 to 12 years is not out of the question. And if somehow you manage to do it, then maybe you can get a chicken that lives longer than 12. Maybe. If you have a chicken that gets like 13 or 14 years, that would be very surprising. But if you get 15 years out of a chicken, you'll probably be pretty close to setting a record. Pretty sure the oldest chicken lived to like, I think 20 or 21 or something like that. I don't know the exact number. I think it was 21. She was born in the 90s and died in like the 2010s, I think. So yeah, you can get chickens that live that long if they have like favorable genetics. But if your chicken doesn't have favorable genetics and is specifically bred for like that sort of stuff, then there is a good chance that, well, you know, you'll just get a chicken that lives no longer than 5 years. We did have our chickens turn 4, and none of them are production layers. ISA Browns are kind of there, so they'll live more like 4 to 6, maybe 7 years. So they'll live a little bit less than like my Barred Rocks and my Buff Orpingtons that will live like 7 to 12 years. You gotta remember, this is not accounting for predator attacks. That could easily cut their life short, even if they just went outside. You gotta understand that risk too. Another thing is that a lot of people don't talk about is the risk of your chicken just being a predator magnet. And that risk is really high when you have a Wyandotte or a specifically, I almost said Barred Wyandotte. They look like Barred Rocks. They are silver-laced Wyandottes. You have those and also Buff Orpingtons. Those two are predator magnets. Or they just walk into that. Or they just, like, they don't care, man. Like, they literally have no regards for themselves whatsoever. Like, that right there is how Barred Rocks and Silver Wyandottes unfortunately work, and there's not really much you could truly do about it. Because those two breeds of chickens are really stupid. The Buff Orpingtons are just really reliable. Other than that, though. So that's why I usually give Buffs a little bit more of higher maintenance and reliability score in my videos that I rank them in. But for the most part, I give them a decent score because they're Buff Orpingtons. They're friendly. What's going on? Odom's Homestead, yo. Another moderator in the community. What's going on? So, yeah, as I was talking about, those chickens are just... So, yeah, as I was talking about, man, those chickens... Wow, I lost my track horribly. Every time I just do a side tangent, I always end up losing my track. Terribly. Like, horribly. Like, it is genuinely terrifying how easy I lose my track when that sort of stuff ends up happening. Just finish up the iced tea really quickly. There you go. So, as I was just saying, let's see what else. So, another thing I do when I'm looking for that perfect breed of chicken, of course, is, as I talked about, using your skill level. We're just recapping this really quickly. Skill level. Is that chicken worth it? Especially if anyone else has had issues with them, you should look for issues in that chicken. Does this chicken have issues? Because issues that will spring up in that chicken could easily either make or break that experience that you could have with your chicken, which is quite unfortunate because there's a ton of issues with a few chicken breeds. I just talked about how silver-laced Wyandottes and Buff Orpingtons are literal predator magnets, but there's also a few of them but there's also a few chicken breeds that have other things wrong with them, like they're more prone to certain diseases, they're more genetically modified, so they don't have the proper sort of stuff that's like favorable for them. That's just how it works. What is the best? What is the best easy most laying hens? I'd say like one of those. I call them the For me, I call them the Great Three: the Barred Rock, Buff Orpingtons, and Easter Eggers. I'll call them the Great Three from now on because with Barred Rocks and Buff Orpingtons, they're one of the greatest brown egg layers. If you're looking for more intermediate Rhode Island Reds and Cinnamon Queens and Black Sex Linked and stuff like that, then you can get into those. But the more beginners friendly ones, Barred Rocks, those Buff Orpingtons, those ones, or Easter Eggers, where you can get those blue and green eggs. Yeah, those are my personal favorites. Their roosters for Easter Eggers and True Americanas are nice. The branch offs are horrible. I've had no good experiences with the branch off roosters, like with especially Green Queens. Green Queens are literally just Easter Eggers with a different name and different genetics. So I guess they purposefully put in a genetic that purposefully makes any of the roosters that has a Dorito feather tone, like a darker white orangish feather tone, specifically more bred to be the biggest moron of all time. That's Falcon and even Snow White. I'm not joking. I'm not even joking. We actually did have a rooster named Snow White. I'm not joking. No, I'm not. But yeah, we did actually have a rooster named Snow White. He also had a Dorito feather tone, and he was a moron. Just about on the same level as Falcon. Probably a bit worse, too. The only issue with Falcon is that, like, he does all that sort of stuff. Oh, I keep forgetting about Leghorns. I have no clue why. Yeah, the Great Three. They're truly the Great Three. You know? I keep forgetting about Leghorns, but I will say Leghorns, I've never really had them before, but I'm thinking about getting them soon. They're really good for, like, Easter. Because if you're doing, like, Easter egg dyeing, because I kind of want to do that this year, I'll probably end up doing it. I'll, like, dye some eggs. But the green eggs also dye pretty nicely. The Leghorns are great for that. The Leghorns are the easier to work with eggs. They lay white eggs. I believe there are a few other white egg-laying chickens, or at least somewhat. You can actually, pretty sure, get nearly white eggs from some Easter eggers. You can even get pink eggs from some Easter eggers. I'm pretty sure. It just depends on, like, which type of genetics you get with that chicken. There's a whole lot of... Anything about chickens has to do with genetics in some form of way. Because, with all that being said, the chicken's genetics matters a whole lot. And also, another thing that you might have heard... this is somewhat true. If you look at the chicken's earlobes, it can determine what color egg they lay. I will say it's mostly true. I'm gonna have to double check that. But does a chicken's earlobe? I'm thinking it's mostly true. I'm pretty sure it is. Generally, the color of a chicken's earlobe predicts the color of an egg the hen will produce. Pretty sure with the Easter eggers, it's not nearly as simple. Hens with white earlobes produce white eggs. Red ones produce brown eggs. I have seen some red Easter egger ones, so I don't really know about how accurate it is, but I'm going to guess it's 80-ish% accurate. Especially for the Leghorns and the Rhode Island Reds and the Barred Rocks and the Buff Orpingtons. Another thing I noticed with chickens, I don't know if any of you guys, notice this. I'll get into that in just a minute. I'll answer this question first. Which meat birds get the biggest? Cornish crosses. They get the biggest in a really short period of time. Freedom Rangers get pretty big as well. The only issue with Freedom Rangers is that if you're less impatient, they'll last a lot longer. So you could get them this week and they wouldn't really be ready until the 3rd week of June. Or you could wait one less month, get a chicken that's similar in size but has a slightly altered taste with the Cornish crosses, which is the ones we got. They'll be white chickens, which is why they're yellow. The white chickens usually tend to be having yellow feathers when they're baby chickies, typically, I'd say. And then gradually they'll grow into like a white feather set. So that's right there for that. And to be honest with you, I forgot what I was about to talk about. But I was about to get into something about, wow. The fact that there's a random silence there was a bit concerning. If I don't say so myself, I'll have to... Oh yeah, I was about to talk about, something about, egg color, I think, right? No. Oh yeah, I was about to talk about how my chickens, some of them, when I pick them up, I don't know if any of you guys have noticed this at all, but like sometimes I pick my chickens up. I'm a good person with chickens, but this is something I've never understood, really, 100%. But I keep forgetting to include on. I forgot to include on my last video talking about things I don't understand about chickens. It's whenever I pick them up, their face could be just like clear as day, just like a really like pinkish reddish. But then when I pick them up, their face goes just tomato red, like somebody just exposed them or something like that for like I don't know, like somebody just exposed like their boyfriend or something like that. Like their face just goes tomato red whenever I pick up one of those like chickens, especially barred rocks. I don't know what it is. It will happen with my other chickens sometimes, but their faces are just naturally darker red. I have no clue if that has something to do with like egg production or something like that, but I've never really understood that. Everything else, so I mostly understand. So you guys, at this point, I'll begin not asking. I'll answer your guys' chicken questions. So like which meat birds get the biggest, stuff like that. Greatest chicken breed for beginners. With that one, I pretty much talked about it for 30 minutes. Buff Orpingtons, barred rocks, and Easter eggers. Easter eggers, if you want some variety, or you can get some like leghorns to supplement that. Leghorns are also fairly easy to work with for the most part. I have heard some people critiquing them for having like more like harder to work with sort of stuff, but for the most part, they're fairly easy to work with. They don't require like a whole lot of dedication. Same with Rhode Island Reds. They don't require a whole lot of dedication, but it does require a whole lot of dedication to go out in the yard with one of their roosters. They will swarm you, and there's a reason why Rhode Island Red roosters are the ones featured in all the movies, because it's somewhat true for the most part, actually, too. They're pretty aggressive roosters, and they will not care how many people get hurt in their little attacks. All that matters for them is just simply how much, like, I don't know, just like, if they can make it to the next day and if they can protect their hens. That's how it works with those chickens, I swear. And that's the unfortunate part about having roosters, that you sometimes have to sacrifice injuries on your leg or something like that, especially in like the summer, because like when it gets like really hot outside and you have to wear shorts and you go out there and your rooster attacks you, it sucks. It really does suck. Now I forgot to talk about something I realized about selecting the right breed of rooster. That's a big part of the stream. I could go for another 30 minutes talking about that. No, I'm joking. I'll still answer questions. What is the size of a coop for 8 hens and a rooster? So generally a rule of thumb I'll typically go by for the minimum is 4 square feet of floor space for a hen and 5 and 6 for a rooster. So if you're going to get 8 hens, you're going to multiply 4 by 8. So you're going to get 32. And then you're going to get 6 square feet of space for a rooster. So 38 square feet of space. It should be the bare minimum. I would definitely go with like 38 to 55 for 8 chickens. So select the dimensions that work perfect for that. So let's get back into talking about breeds of roosters and stuff like that. But just remember, during my discussion about breeds of roosters, you guys are fully welcome to ask questions in the chat about chickens. And I will answer them to the best of my ability, even if it requires me to go on a 10-minute side tangent about something completely random, as long as it's somewhat chicken related. So for roosters, selecting that right breed is a bit harder, actually, because roosters are a bit more bipolar than the rest of the chickens. You can have the rooster that is the nicest chicken in recorded history one day, and then the next day, he literally transforms into like the most evil, like, he transforms into like the most evil thing you've ever seen by the next morning. And that's the unfortunate part of having roosters, is that you do have to, roosters are way more bipolar than the rest of the chickens. So you'll have a lot more of this sort of like, so you'll have a lot more sort of stuff like that to have to deal with. What's going on, Lisby Journey, yo? Welcome to the chat. So as I was saying, roosters, they're a lot more like bipolar than the rest of the chickens, and so selecting the right one can be really hard, but usually I like to group roosters into 3 categories. Category number 1 are just the downright terrible. Category number 2 are the neutral. And category number 3 are the ones that are great. Category number 2 is where I'd say like 2/3 of the roosters will fall. For category 1, you'll get some roosters like bantams. Bantams especially, because they are really, really, and I mean really, just like mean. They will attack you. They don't care. They literally do not care at all. Yep. Wow. It's late heading to bed. All right. Good night, yo. So roosters, like especially bantams, they literally could care less about the person they were attacking. For roosters like Black Hopper Marins, Rhode Island Reds, they're right in that category too. I'd maybe place Rhode Island Reds right on the standing line between 1 and 2 because, like, Rhode Island Reds, they're just like, they could be trained to be really well, or they could be just like absolutely evil. It depends on which one you get and how much you work with them. Because you could easily turn a rooster that falls in the first category, into one that falls into the third category. What is the largest chicken breed? Oh, that's a good question. That is one. I'd usually say it's like the Brahma, the world's largest chicken breed. You usually get like a meat chicken that, if you get a meat chicken, can last magically more than 10 weeks, and that'll probably be one of the biggest ones. But I believe the Brahma is. I'll have to double check that. What is the biggest chicken breed? I believe it's the Brahma, but you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Jersey Giant, Brahma chicken are there. Cochin, Orpington, Dongtao, Australorp, especially Indian Game, Plymouth Rock, Malay Game, and I'm not going to go through the rest of those. Shamos are on there too. I still remember reviewing those to this day. So as I was saying, for those like third category roosters that are just automatically, the default settings are all set to nice, and you don't have to turn on any of those additional settings. They are just really great roosters. I will give that to Buff Orpingtons and Bard Rocks. They're really great roosters. Although they'll play with you, they'll toy with you, they try to test you like that. But for the most part, they're really enjoyable. These third category chickens can either be like, they don't really necessarily have to be the greatest chicken of all time to be placed there. All they have to do is like have like a just have a temperate mood. So y'all had a Rhode Island Red. It was a demon. So glad we ate him. Yeah. One thing, I'll give you one tip if your rooster is so bad that you have to turn him into like a chicken dinner. I'll give you one tip here. And that one tip is that if he's getting too old, the meat will not be as good. So I can't technically turn Falcon. I could turn Falcon into a 7-piece chicken McNugget, but at the same time, you can't really do that and have it taste as good as it was. So if you guys have roosters that are just not suited in that first category as I was talking about, then unfortunately, I think that there's nothing you can really do. You could sell them, especially there's people will actually buy roosters. But if you can't find anyone that will actually take your chicken, then the family looks like they'll be having a pretty big chicken dinner soon coming up. Mark your calendars if that's the case. I think that might end up happening to Falcon this mating season if he doesn't, be really nice to the chickens. He actually, a couple of years ago, he killed my chicken Kit Kat because of the mating season. He was going way too hard, pushed her into the ground, got all cut up in his mud, and she got an infection in the foot called bumblefoot, which a lot of chicken owners should know this one. If you might have your own flashbacks to this one, you can share your experience with this disease in the chat or the comments for all you people that are watching on replay. It is a really, really, really easy to cure disease. It requires some like Epsom salt and stuff like that. But if it spreads to the bones, then your chicken's completely, it's wraps. And there's nothing you can really do. You can't bury them. You don't want to spread that disease, so you have to cremate them. So my Rooster Falcon was not directly responsible, I'd say. I'd say he's like 60% responsible, but I will never let him go for that. Yeah, a delicious demon, yo. That goes crazy. Now I want to have some rooster, but tonight's dinner is because today is Monday, I'm going to have for dinner, I have a salad and a bagel. Bagel with butter, that's my dinner tonight, and a salad. And also some tea. And then for dessert tonight, I'll have a protein shake. That's what's going on tonight. Tomorrow night, though, I'll definitely be having some chicken, yo. That's for sure. There'll be some chicken tomorrow night that'll be on the grill. I wish it would be my rooster if he decides to provoke me enough tomorrow, but for the most part, it probably won't be. But at this point, there's no fixing him. He is 3 years old. There's no fixing any roosters that turn to the dark side like that. It is really difficult to do that. It's not impossible, I'll say, but at the same time, it's not easy. I will say it is possible to turn them around. I'm pretty sure the statement you can't teach an old dog new tricks is pretty much untrue, because I have an old dog. My Great Dane, he's 5 years old, which is actually pretty old considering most Great Danes live 8 to 10 years, which makes him generally about 50 to 60% of his way through his life, which I consider that old for a dog. I'm teaching him new tricks every day, and he's listening just fine, so you technically can probably still train. So I just really quickly disproved that statement, although it is true for some dogs and for some chickens too. I'll have to double check that. Oh, yes, old dogs can learn new tricks. I called it. I knew it, I predicted it. Like always. Yeah, gravy and biscuits. That's crazy. Like, he's mean 1 hour, and the next hour he's turned into a Thanksgiving dinner with some gravy. Hit him up on the grill, and get some seasoning. Season it, that'll be great. If your rooster is being really annoying, put him on the grill. Don't be afraid to. It's fine to do that. But the first thing I do is look for someone that'll take him. If you're having someone that's like, if you're looking for someone that's like, if you see someone that actually wants like a rooster that's like really good for someone, if your rooster is like horrible at defending but like really good with like but if you want someone that's like really good with mating with the other chickens, then yes, you can technically just find someone that wants a rooster specifically for that purpose and give it to them. Or you can have a rooster that's overly defensive and give it to someone that doesn't really like that, like maybe works like an overnight shift and gets home at like early in the morning and just sleeps for most of the day. You won't be spending a whole lot of time with your chickens, maybe just saying goodbye to them. Then maybe the Rhode Island Red Rooster that's antagonizing you'll be perfect in that house. You never know. It really does truly depend. But yes, if no one's willing to take your rooster and he's at a perfect age, then don't be afraid to. 1 hour he's out with the chickens, pestering everyone. The next hour he's on the table and he is ready for some Thanksgiving dinner. Regardless if it's Thanksgiving or not. Yeah, grilled yard walker. I take it. I agree with that statement, I will be taking any type of rooster. Regardless. We have some chicken in our basement right now from our meat chickens from last year. Still don't have any yet ran out. We're running low, which is why we got some more meat chickens this year, and we'll have another run in like we'll have another run sometime in the fall as well. So like July or August, we'll probably pick up our second round of meat chickens. And my guess is that we'll probably also do 15 again. Last time we did 30 meat chickens, but this time we're gonna do 15. Because when we did 30 meat chickens, it didn't really end too well because it was just overcrowded in the brooder. And those chickens were just like, not really in the brooder, but it was overcrowded in their hoop coop. So we'd have to build a much bigger hoop coop if we want it to be the perfect amount of volume for the chickens. Or we could just get a lower amount of chickens. Second option seems to be the best one for most people. Because I can assure you one thing. It is a whole lot of work to build a hoop coop. I'm not joking. It is a whole lot of work. It requires a whole lot of dedication and stuff like that to build a brand new chicken coop for your chickens. So if it really does come down to that, then truly it has to. That's what we'll probably end up doing. We'll probably build more hoop coops as we get more serious with farming. This year, we're mainly not really focusing on chickens. Last year's big thing on chickens and meat chickens and learning about like where we could set all these different boundaries and stuff like that, and exploring what we could do with all these different chickens. This year, we will be renovating our house. So hopefully my goal is that by maybe midsummer, right before the start of the next school year, which I think is like August 25th or 26th. I don't remember the exact date. So hopefully by the time we reach next school year, I can be upstairs. Yeah, my upstairs has a lot of old damage to it. So that's why we're not terribly focused on chickens this year, but maybe next year. Next year we'll be probably getting some fencing and barns and stuff like that done. So once we get all that fencing done, we can get more chickens and better yet, some cattle and some pigs. I don't plan on getting stuff like goats, but cattle and pigs are going to be the bigger ones. Maybe some geese, maybe some more ducks. You never know. This is not a duck stream, though. I might do a duck chat if you guys want me to. I do still know a little bit about ducks, if you're wondering. But I still do know way more about chickens, and I know even more about the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich, which is what my Rooster Falcon will end up being if he does not learn to shut up. Do you dig down and put hardware fencing to keep the predators out? Our yards are portable, so no, we don't. But if we wanted to, if we were gonna build like a stationary yard, because I'm in the most beautiful region of all the U.S., the northeast of all places. If you try to dig more than a foot into the ground, you're gonna be met with a massive boulder. And then when you remove that, right below that, there will be another one that's even bigger. So if you're trying to dig like 5 feet into the ground and put some like hardware fencing or just install fence posts, it's a literal nightmare to do that every time. I remember trying to do the fence in 2020, but there were so many rocks, we were only able to get about 3/4 of the post put in before we kind of just scrapped the project. It was a disaster. But because we're from the Northeast, what else did you expect? The Northeast has a ton of rocks, just like always. I'm pretty sure all the fellow people from the Northeast over here can concur with that statement, especially southern New England. I do not know why. I guess the way the glaciers decided to form back in the Ice Age or whenever, decided they wanted to be a pretty big opponent, or like whatever, to us being able to build fences 10,000, 11, 12,000 years later. Stupid. Really stupid. So yeah, we don't have stationary fencing. It's really easy just build portable fencing, but unfortunately the chickens can easily cheese that portable fencing. The greatest thing though is that we can move it to a different location if there's a loophole somewhere in the yard. Versus with stationary fencing, it's a whole pain because if they find a loophole, you have to go down to the store, buy some like covering up stuff. You cover it up, and then 5 minutes later, they find a new loophole. So then you have to run back to the store, cover that loophole up, and guess what? The cycle repeats every time until you realize your chickens are just flying over the fence and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's what happened most of the times. Oh, what did I just do? I keep clicking the wrong button every time, yo. Every time. I have no clue what I'm doing, yo. I keep clicking the wrong buttons. I clicked out of my live streaming tab. Alright, so have a good night. You gotta go. Alright, catch you guys in the next stream. I don't know if you'll be in my Tribute Tuesday, but if you won't be, then I'll be hopefully being able to catch up with you on the Thursday night stream that you guys do. I do not do Thursday night live discussion for the remainder of the school year because of my tight schedule Thursday night, but I still like the Thursday stream, so I'll be doing Thursday afternoon. Everyone pretty much has heard about that announcement I did a couple weeks ago. And because usually the second I get home, the last thing I think about is doing a live stream, and I focus on video creation and getting the last of my homework done as soon as I get home from school. That's why I still have to get used to this brand new schedule that I'm creating. But hopefully by the time I'm able to do my first Thursday afternoon stream, it'll be done. You might have heard in the beginning of the stream, actually I did not announce this. I'm announcing this in the video, and I'll let the video speak for itself when it's up in under a few hours by 8:20. As soon as I hop off the stream, I'm going to go make myself some dinner and my protein shake, which I'm going to go till an hour. So we have about 12 minutes on the chat. So we're going to go back to talking about roosters. Like I was saying, if you have roosters in that third category that I was talking about, like the nice roosters, you have the second category. I'm just recapping. The second category, you have, they're just okay. Roosters are average roosters. Like 60% of them fall into that category. Then you have that third category where those roosters are just demons. They will not listen to a word you say. They're impossible to tame. And if you have a chicken that's really, really, really on the high end of that third category there, then you are going to have some major issues, and there's not much you can do about it. So, really quickly, selecting that right breed of roosters is a massive thing. Literally, one of the most important things. Most of the time, you get that third category rooster from gentle breeds, like I was talking about, Buff Orpingtons, Barred Rocks, certain varieties of Easter Eggers. If you're going to buy an Easter Egg or rooster, look into the variety you're getting. For the most part, people don't provide their Easter egg or variety, but if you can find one that does show their variety, then you can maybe find someone that'll provide you with an Easter egg or rooster that is incredibly tame. Just ask around a little bit about how well they do with those roosters, and maybe I'll do a rooster review in the future. I'll probably do a rooster review on a couple of breeds of chickens, probably in the next few weeks is my best guess, but I have no clue, to be honest, because of my tight schedule. So as I was saying, choose that right breed of rooster. And if you have a rooster that's in that third category, then make sure you're treating him well to maintain that category, because the roosters will sometimes be extremely bipolar and flip between different categories. So you have a rooster that's in that third category, the friendly one, it's heaven on earth with your rooster. And then the next day, wake up and he's in that first category, and he is just a literal demon. Then you go to bed the next night, and then you wake up the next morning, and he's just okay. He's just not bothering you. On that last day before that, we have beef. The next day, he doesn't really care. It is also important to know that during their first mating season, they are extremely, and I mean extremely, uncivil. Yeah, there's some noise coming in the background. I didn't know how I could hear, but there was a ton of noise just a couple seconds ago, so I tried to filter it out by doing that. So during their first mating season, around 6 months old, they are extremely, they just do not care. They will do anything they want and everything they want, regardless of what you think. So that is one thing to know about certain breeds of roosters, that for the first 6 to 12 months, they will be really aggressive. But after that point, once you can tame them, they'll be mean to you still. They'll just be more jokingly mean to you. It's really lighthearted, and it doesn't really matter in the end, because at the same time, the roosters for the most part, they're just pretty tame. They're pretty civil. They don't really care too much. They will just give you a hard time about certain things. But if you're looking to tame your rooster, bring him from a first down to a third. All you got to do is bring him treats, respect him, and if none of that's working, you can go against his will and treat the hens with respect as well. Show them what you're all about. Showing those hens some respect is one of the greatest. Actually, believe it or not, works almost all the time. If your rooster's not listening to you, you can just go and talk to your hens, and they will definitely be able to help you branch away from that rooster in a way. It'll be really simple for the most part, I will say. And yeah. So we are down to about 8-ish minutes in the chat. So if anyone is open to questions, and that will be there. And I almost forgot, channel spotlight of the day. Today's channel spotlight will be going out to a channel that I'm pretty sure was actually in the stream a couple of minutes ago. I don't know how long ago, so it's been a few minutes. We'll go right over to that channel right now. Yeah, Boucher Prepper here. I pronounce it a different way every single stream. I'm not gonna lie. 985 subscribers. She did have an old channel, I believe, that had around 1,500, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe a bit less, a bit more. I don't remember. You get fairly consistent uploads, about once a week-ish, I'd say. Her most popular video has a little bit over 1,000 views for the Winter Indoor Garden 2023. Oh, no, not the noise, please, Yabo. Are you serious? We do have, so far, about almost 8,000 views. I'd say pretty nice for starting back up the channel. 1,000 views on shorts. Consistent posts on the community tab. Sharing out other people's content. I'll do that regularly. If I have to share more people's channels out. I keep forgetting to do that. Because I always find a channel and a video I really like watching, and then I forget to share it, which just really annoys me. So that's our channel spotlight of the day. If you want to be in the next channel spotlight, just tell me and I'll see what I can do. Last channel live stream was 3 months ago, so if you're looking to get those hours, those 3,000, 4,000, whatever hours, or dare I say it, 10 million shorts views, then reach out to your community, and they'll probably help you out a little bit there. I know I said 10 million shorts views. It's impossible. It is genuinely impossible to do that. I have no clue where they pulled that number from, but please never let them bring those numbers up again. 10 million shorts views in 90 days, too. That is practically impossible for some small channels, so that's why I'm going with the 4,000 hours. Regardless of how well my shorts perform, I will never be a primarily shorts channel, ever. I was last year, though, unfortunately, and I regret doing that. So if you guys want, that's our spotlight channel of the day. So if you guys aren't already, go check out the channel. Oh my, I'm having some lag over here. Please tell me it's only temporary. Please tell me this is temporary, bro. Come on, bro. Better work. Alright, I hope that works now. So it looks like the lag is off a little bit, so about So we have about 5-ish minutes in the chat left. So yeah, I just had a little bit of lag for a split second there, but we're back. It looks like we are mostly back at this point. Hopefully we are. Yeah, sorry, I'm dealing with a whole lot of lag tonight. I don't know what it is, what's up with my internet connection. It's always doing this every time I go live. I guess I'm just consuming too much Wi-Fi or something like that. But whatever it is, it needs to stop. So yeah, as I was saying, 10 million shorts views is literally and figuratively impossible for most channels to be able to reach. So I don't know where they got that number from, but please never bring numbers that high ever again. I have gotten a few of them up to 10,000, 3 of them to be exact, but I think the next chance I'll have to get 10,000 views will probably be in like 6 months at the very earliest. So yeah, that was pretty much about it. If you guys are wondering, in a few minutes I will be dropping my garden tour. I've been exporting this whole stream and it looks like it's done exporting. So yeah, we have 5 minutes in the chat. So for these last 5 minutes, it's just going to be open discussion. If anyone wants to join up, I'll open up the panel. If anyone wants to come up and talk about chickens or gardening or something like that, whatever. Next week there will be a garden show, by the way. I don't have any crazy assignments due this week. I do have one math quiz this week that I do have to worry a little bit about, but it's nothing too crazy, so we're all good. If there's like a big test, like many big tests in a week, then most likely I'll probably be taking the week off. That is the most likely case scenario, so I'll just be taking the week off for that reason to help study for it, or because I'm just simply stressed out about that sort of stuff. I really do overthink a whole lot for me personally. But yeah, that is pretty much how it goes over here. If I'm not doing a live stream, then there's a good chance that it's the 2nd or 3rd week of March. It was a really risky move trying to come back in March, but I really am trying to reach those 4,000 hours ASAP. So you have to go through desperate lengths to be able to reach your goals, unfortunately. And that's how it goes for me personally. So hopefully we'll reach those 4,000 hours sometime soon. I really want it. I've done just about everything. Most of my videos at this point are literally at least 8 minutes long. And no, it's not purposeful. I know 8 minutes is the golden time for most YouTube videos because, like, at that point you can insert like 80,000 different advertisements. But trust me, that's not going to be the case here. I just put 8 minutes into content because it's literally just 8 minutes of content. You know, that's how it works. If this was a YouTube chat, I'd be talking all about 8 minutes and how that's the magical time for most videos to blow up. But this is not a YouTube chat. YouTube chat is on Sundays. So if you guys missed out on that, they will be coming back. Sunday chats are 3 o'clock. They're taking that old 3 o'clock time slot. That used to be closed, but now it's open. So I will be taking that 3 o'clock time slot. Thank you very much. So 2.5 minutes on chat left. Is there any... At this point, we're going to start off with our closing thoughts on the stream. So for the stream, I'd say we did a pretty good job discussing all the main points about chickens and selecting the right breed. I'll say I did go on very few side tangents this stream, only to answer questions that were brought up in the chat about chickens, which were completely related to the general topic. The big picture for these streams is always chickens. So when I go on a side tangent about chickens, I'm technically still on topic. So we're all good with that one. I'd say we did pretty good on that one. I'd say with the presentation, I did pretty good on it too. I'd say I did fairly decent on presenting the topics. We always do these at the end of the chat. And then right at the end, I always say thank you so much for joining. For all the people in the chat, let's see how many people joined up. We had Bouger Prepper, Old Man King Homestead, Salty Grace, Homesteader Rachel, Henry Leslie Vermont. Let's see who else was in here. Odom's Homestead, Liz B Journey for a brief period, and then we had. So those are all the people that joined up today. Thank you guys so much for joining. We're not completely done. We still have about a minute and a half left on the chat, a little bit under that. But yeah, if you guys are wondering, I do have a plan for videos this week. So hopefully I'll be able to get every single video this week out that I was planning on getting out. Last week I didn't have a good plan, so I wasn't really able to get a lot of them out. Other than maybe my chicken's 4th birthday, which flopped. I expected that one to do way better than it actually did. I have my goal dead set on that one being my most viewed chicken video, but it flopped. They got 28 views. Not even close to my most viewed chicken video at all, even in the slightest. So that one sucked. That was a disappointment and a half. Um, and then somehow I'm covering every chicken breed. Oh my god! I'm sorry. This last couple seconds I have to be on mute because my little siblings do not know how to shut up when I'm on a stream. I really need to get some like acoustic wall panels or whatever they're called in this room to maybe help block out some sound or something like that. So we're pretty much in the last 5 seconds of the stream. Let's see, what are we at? 55, 56. All right, we are good.